What's up guys, welcome to this week's video. As you guys can tell from the title, it's going to be a Q&A, so it's going to be a sit down video. So I suggest if you guys are doing cardio or you're doing some work, you can throw this video up in the background, sit back, relax, and enjoy this Q&A. This is actually probably the most excited I've been to film a Q&A. We got a lot of good questions. I think the topics we are talking about today are very good topics. I haven't really touched base on a whole lot of these specifically. And that is a Q&A based around modeling, YouTube, and then my online coaching. So right now, I currently have 12 questions. I asked on Instagram a couple hours ago. I wanted to film this earlier, but I also wanted to get as many good questions as possible, so I waited a little bit. If there is any more questions that come through while I'm filming this, I might just add a few at the end depending on how long this video is. But sit back, relax, enjoy the video guys, and let's jump into question number 1. So a few of the questions in this Q&A I just kind of compiled from the last couple months. If someone asked me a good question on YouTube or something like that, I wrote it down in a little Word document so I would remember to answer it during the next Q&A. So the first couple questions are based on those. Question number 1. What do you prefer more, online coaching or in-person training? This is a very, very good question. To be completely honest with you, since I'm fairly new to in-person training, I have been a big fan of actually being able to meet clients in person, to physically like shake their hand, train with them, be with them the entire session. But I also love the flexibility that online coaching has to offer. I am able to do plans when I'm flying across country on a plane. When I'm on vacation, let's say I go somewhere on vacation, I can do plans there. So it's really a split decision. There's pros and cons to both. If I had to choose one thing to do for the rest of my life, if it would be in-person training or online coaching, I would probably go to online coaching just because of the flexibility of it, and the amount of people that I can actually reach and work with is a lot more than the in-person training. What are your main sources of income? So I actually briefly talked about this a couple Q&As ago, but it has changed quite a bit. A lot of you guys that have been following me for some time, you guys know that I have about like 5 to 6 different sources of income, which isn't necessarily a good thing. I'm not like bragging about that at all, because it's actually something that I want to work on. It's something that I want to start narrowing down a little bit more. So my main sources of income, obviously modeling, online coaching, in-person training, my YouTube channel, I bartend a little bit, and then I do a little bit of social media, like influencing work on my Instagram, which is literally the easiest thing ever. I thought instead of just answering it like that, I'd go into a little bit more in depth on it, because I think this would help a lot of you guys, and it just kind of made me give you guys a little bit more confidence if you guys do want to take one of these career paths. Like specifically with like the in-person training and stuff like that, I do think it can be a very lucrative career. So I just wanted to break down my incomes, all those things that I listed. I kind of wanted to break them down percentage-wise. I figured this would be pretty interesting. I just did this morning, and it's very, very interesting to me. So keep in mind, I only did this for January and February. I didn't do this at all last year because I didn't really separate my income like that, but I started doing it this year just to get an idea on everything. And modeling is 21 or has been 21% of my income the last couple months. Online coaching has been 28%. So this is the first time ever online coaching has passed my modeling for income, which is really, really, really exciting. I'll go into a little more detail on that a little bit later. Bartending is about 13%, and it takes up quite a bit of time as well. Other things like my YouTube ad revenue, social media work I do on Instagram is surprisingly 29% of my income, which is quite a bit these last couple months. Like I said, this isn't all the time. This is specifically January and February. I've been doing a lot more Instagram work, social media stuff, so that's why it's a little bit higher. And then personal training, in-person stuff is about 9% of my income, which is the least amount of income from all the sources right now. And then to make it even more interesting, I figured I would personally break down how much time it takes, how much time each of those takes. And I consider modeling taking up about 5% of my total time out of all these sources. Online coaching by far takes up the most time out of any of these sources. It's about 60%, which is literally whenever I'm not modeling, whenever I'm not bartending, whenever I'm not in person. Whenever I'm not training a client in person, I'm sitting on my computer, getting emails done, working on my website, getting online plans done. So it's a lot of my time. Bartending takes about 15% of my time. It's an hourly thing, so it's like the amount of hours I'm working is the amount I'm getting paid, which is something that I would steer away from for a lot of you guys. If you guys want like a really, really good source of income, you want to be able to scale what you're doing, so not hourly, maybe commission based or something like that, because you can scale that a lot more. And then like my other YouTube, specifically all this time is just basically from editing. Social media, posting a picture on Instagram and getting paid for it takes like 0.5% of all this. It's the easiest thing I've ever done. So like with the YouTube ad stuff or with the YouTube editing, it takes about 15% just because that takes about 4 to 8 hours a week to do that. And then personal training takes about 5 to 10% of my time up. That is another hourly wage thing, but I can generally charge a little bit more than like my bartending and stuff like that. So that's a long answer to that question, guys, but hopefully that's interesting to you guys. How many hours a night do you sleep? To be honest with you, it can vary anywhere from, I generally always get more than 5. I generally don't get more than 8, so I would say on average about 7 hours of sleep, and I actually function a lot better between 6.5 and 7 hours as opposed to 8 hours. That's just me personally. So ideally I'd love to get like 7 hours of sleep, but sometimes I'm a little bit lazy and I like to sleep in. Never really more than 8 hours. Like last week I worked a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift, so I got about 2.5 hours of sleep that night. Didn't function too well. What do you need to become a personal trainer, and is it worth it? So this is a very interesting question. You guys have asked me some amazing questions so far, so I want to thank you guys for that. What does it take? Literally, you just have to get a certification. For me specifically, I am NASM certified. I wouldn't take the approach that I did. I honestly forgot that I signed up, and you have like a 6-month window from when you sign up to when you have to take the test. You can ask Courtney about this. This is one of the craziest nights that I've had. The night before, I had to sign up for the test, or a couple weeks before I had to sign up for the test, and literally the night before I studied for about 12 to 14 hours straight, had my headphones in, listening to audio stuff on YouTube, taking like these tests online, and I actually passed the NASM, which was really, really exciting for me with less than like 12 hours of study time. Granted, I did have a little bit of background knowledge, but a lot of that stuff is a lot of the body anatomy and stuff like that. So I'm very proud that I did that, and I learned actually quite a bit from taking that test, and I'm still learning quite a bit from all that kind of stuff. So I always suggest continuing to learn your craft. No matter how good you think you are, there's always room to improve. So that's what it takes to become a NASM certified trainer. Generally, I think they said study for about 6 months before you take the test. Is it worth it? Yes and no. I know people, I actually have people, I train out of a personal independent training gym down the street in LA. I know people, specifically my good friends of mine, that are doing 40 to 50 sessions a week, charging over $100 a session. So they're making about $5K a week, which is upwards of like $20,000 to $30,000 a month, which is I think over like $300,000 a year from personal training. And then I know people that, I don't know people specifically that train at like LA Fitness or like a 24-hour fitness, where they're getting like an hourly rate of like $30 an hour for a session, and they're getting like $20,000 to $25,000 a year. So it really depends where you live. If you guys really want to be, I don't want to say if you really like, you need to move somewhere, but I want to say you have a better chance of being a successful personal trainer if you live in a market where the income's usually a little bit higher, where there's like wealthier people that are willing to pay a little bit more per session, like LA, Miami, New York. And then if you slowly build your client base up to like 40, 45 sessions a week, which my one friend does, you can do very, very well with personal training. The guy that I know that's doing that much, he does 40 sessions a week. He's up at 6 a.m., doesn't leave till 6 p.m. He does that about 6 days a week. So he's very, very busy, but he loves what he does, and it definitely paying off for him. Are you taking on clients in Europe? So that's a good question. About 75% of my clients are based in the United States. About 25 are based elsewhere in the world. The good thing about what I do is I make everything from scratch. So if you are from outside of the United States and there's certain foods that we may not have, you guys can always write them down in the questionnaire, and I'll look them up on the internet, get the exact macros and stuff like that. So it's fairly easy to work with clients outside the United States, yes. And that's another reason why I love online coaching, because I work with people all over the world. Okay, my camera was overheated, so just as a precaution, I wanted to take a little break, but now I'm back. Next question, how do I get online coaching clients? This is honestly one of the hardest things to do. It's one thing to try to get in-person training clients because you can go around the gym, talk to people and stuff like that, but getting online clients, you have to have an online presence, and it's something that I'm constantly working on. But generally about 95% of my clients, I have a little question on the bottom of my Q&A. It's like, how did you find out, or what made you purchase a plan from nickpalladino.com? And about 95% of my clients say from YouTube. So it may not be how they discovered me, but YouTube was what converted them to purchase a plan online. So how do I get online clients? I would say start up a YouTube channel, give as much free information as possible, have as much entertaining content as possible, never push too hard. Like I don't do YouTube videos to promote my online coaching. I just like mention it at the end because it is a service that I do. I freaking love doing it. It's what allows me to continue doing YouTube. It's the income that allows me to continue making videos and stuff like that. Because without online coaching, YouTube ad revenues definitely not paying me enough to continue like the amount of time that I put in to continue to do this, because I'd have to get another job to do the income. So definitely YouTube is how I got how I get most of my online clients. If you guys are interested, nickpalladino.com. Which is your favorite career? So this kind of ties into what I was just talking about. Out of the things, out of like modeling, online coaching, bartending, personal training, in-person stuff, I would say my favorite career by far is just the online coaching and YouTube in general. I would always piece those two things together because without YouTube, I wouldn't have online coaching. Without my online coaching, like I said, I wouldn't have the income to continue doing these YouTube videos. So I would say YouTube and online coaching are the two things that I am going to focus on, continue doing, and continue to try to grow. I love modeling, guys, don't get me wrong. The money's incredible for the amount of work you have to put in. It's honestly, modeling's super easy. If like anyone really complains about modeling or anything like that, then it's like it's a pretty easy job to do. So it just doesn't give me that satisfaction that like, because I grew my business from scratch, guys. It was only like I grew it 4 years ago from like just an idea to a website. I got motivation from like Christian Guzman and stuff because he was doing the same thing. So I put a lot more blood, sweat, and tears into my online coaching than I do with modeling. So I just that satisfaction when I get a purchase from that as opposed to booking a job, it just makes me feel a lot better knowing that I'm also helping someone as well in the process. It's just a very good feeling for me. So long term, definitely online coaching. This is a good question from Shay. Do you still get nervous filming in public since you've been filming for so long? To be completely honest, no, not at all. I don't mind filming. It's so much more relieving to know that I'm gonna have decent content as opposed to, oh, I'm so nervous right now, I don't want to film it, and then a couple hours later, the next day when I edit a video, I'm like, damn, I should have, like, I don't have this content. I should have just stuck it out, and I should have just filmed in public. So it's way easier to just get it over with, just film in public, do whatever you need to do so you have the content as opposed to regretting not doing it. The biggest thing with me, the biggest struggle, I mentioned this before, is just coming up with the content for YouTube. That's actually why I'm only filming once a week right now, is I don't want to like bore you guys and stuff like that, which is forcing out 2 videos a week. So filming in public is a lot easier now. Coming up with content's a lot harder because I've been doing this for 4 years. So kind of like a little balance thing there. How do you structure your online coaching? So I'm gonna go in this very briefly. I don't wanna make this video like a pitch about my online coaching, but basically after purchase, they'll get a welcome video, which will kind of guide them through what to expect for the next 4, 8, 12, or 16 weeks, depending on what plan they purchase. They'll get a questionnaire. In the questionnaire, they'll basically fill it out with what foods they like, what allergies they have, what if they're vegan, if they're keto, stuff like that, what equipment they have available. They'll fill it out in as much detail as possible, send it back to me. I'll get the questionnaire, I'll make the plan, send it back to them. We'll do weekly check-ins depending on what they get. They'll get my phone number for text messaging for easy check-ins and stuff like that. And sometimes I'll even do phone calls depending on what plan they purchase. And that's pretty much the structure of it. And then every 4 weeks, I'll make them a completely fresh plan. So if they get a 16-week plan, they're basically getting 4 plans throughout the 16 weeks. All right, we're gonna try this one more time before my camera dies once again. Last question here, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video so far. This last question is, can someone realistically live in LA on a low income, and do you have any advice? My advice would be only move to like LA or New York or like a bigger city that's more expensive is if your income is going to increase because you're doing that. So like for personal training, like I said, generally there's higher paying clients in these cities, so it would be helpful to move there. Or for like bartending for me isn't going to be a career, but like bartending generally, if you want to move to like Vegas, you're going to get paid a lot more than just like a city somewhere else in the United States. Is it realistic to live in LA on a low income? It's definitely just going to be a lot harder than like another city that's a little bit maybe cheaper, rents a little bit cheaper. It's doable, but it's definitely going to be a lot harder, and that's really the only thing that I can really say about this topic. So personally, if it wasn't for like for modeling even, or if Courtney definitely needs to live here for her career, but I definitely wouldn't mind potentially like moving somewhere like Arizona or even Vegas or something like that, where it's still close to LA, but you definitely just get a little more space for your money. Housing's a lot cheaper, stuff like that. So yeah, it's I love LA. I have my best friends are in LA, so it's definitely got a place in my heart, but I wouldn't be opposed to moving elsewhere just to save a little bit of money. But that's gonna wrap up today's video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you guys could drop a like on the video, it would really help the channel out. I'm trying to get these videos lately to like 1,000 likes. Seems to be a good little point. YouTube seems to help me out when I get these videos, better engagement, comments, and stuff like that. So I appreciate it. If you guys are interested in working with me on a closer basis, you guys can visit my website, nickpalladino.com. I love to get a chance to work with some of you guys. You guys can check my website. The link is down below. See if it is of interest to you and see if it'll help you guys out. Shoot me an email if you guys have any questions, and I look forward to working with some of you guys. Thank you guys for watching once again. I'll see you next week for next week's video. It might be a full day of eating challenge video or a workout with Courtney. We'll see what we get into.